Hey everybody, welcome back to another reading of Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. As he finishes, the jade and crystal keys vanish, leaving only the copper key, which now hangs on a chain around Anurok's neck. The camera follows Anurok as he turns and continues farther into the dark cavern. A few seconds later, he arrives at a pair of massive wooden doors set into the cavern's rocky wall. These doors are banded with steel, and there are shields and dragons carved into their surfaces. I couldn't playtest this particular game, so I worry that I may have hidden my Easter egg a little too well, made it too difficult to reach. I'm not sure if that's the case. It's too late to change anything now, so I guess we'll see. Anurok throws open the double doors, and revealing an immense treasure room filled with piles of glittering gold coins and jewel-encrusted goblets. Then he steps into the open doorway and turns to face the viewer, stretching out his arms to hold open the giant double doors. Analysis reveals dozens of curious items hidden among the mounds of treasure, most notably several early home computers. So without further ado, Anurok announces, "Let the hunt for Halliday's Easter egg begin." Then he vanishes in a flash of light, leaving the viewer to gaze through the open doorway at the glittering mounds of treasure that lay beyond. Then the screen fades to black. At the end of the video, Halliday included a link to his personal website, which had changed drastically on the morning of his death. For over a decade, the only thing posted there had been a short looping animation that showed his avatar. Anurok sitting in a middle library, hunched over a scarred work table, mixing potions and poring over dusty spellbooks, with a large painting of a black dragon visible on the wall behind him. But now that animation was gone. In its place, there was a high score list like those that used to appear in old coin-operated video games. The list had 10 numbered spots, and each displayed the initials JDH, James Donovan Halliday, followed by a score of 6 zeros. This high score list quickly came to be known as the scoreboard. Just below the scoreboard was an icon that looked like a small leather-bound book, which linked to a free downloadable copy of Anurok's Almanac, a collection of hundreds of Halliday's undated journal entries. The almanac was over 1,000 pages long, but it contained few details about Halliday's personal life or his day-to-day activities. Most of the entries were his stream of consciousness, observations on various classic video games, science fiction and fantasy novels, movies, comic books, and 80s pop culture, mixed with humorous diatribes denouncing everything from organized religion to diet soda. The hunt, as the contest came to be known, quickly wove its way into global culture. Like winning the lottery, finding Halliday's Easter egg became a popular fantasy among adults and children alike. It was a game anyone could play, and at first there seemed to be no right or wrong way to play it. The only thing Anurok's almanac seemed to indicate was that a familiarity with Halliday's various observations would be essential to finding the egg. This led to a global fascination with 1980s pop culture. 50 years after the decade had ended, the movies, music, games, and fashions of the 1980s were all the rage once again. By 2041, spiked hair and acid-washed jeans were back in style, and covers of hit 80s pop songs by contemporary bands dominated the music charts. People who had actually been teenagers in the 1980s, all now approaching old age, had the strange experience of seeing the fads and fashions of their youth embraced and studied by their grandchildren. A new subculture was born, composed of the millions of people who now devoted every free moment of their lives to searching for Halliday's egg. At first, these individuals were known simply as egg hunters, but this was quickly truncated to the nickname Gunters. During the first year of the hunt, being a gunter was highly fashionable, and nearly every Oasis user claimed to be one. When the first anniversary of Halliday's death arrived, the fervor surrounding the contest began to die down. An entire year had passed and no one had found anything, not a single key or gate. Part of the problem was the sheer size of the oasis. It contained thousands of simulated worlds where the key might be hidden, and it could take a gunter years to conduct a thorough search of any one of them. Despite all of the professional gunters who boasted all their blogs that they were getting closer to a breakthrough every day, the truth gradually became apparent. No one really even knew exactly what it was they were looking for, or where to start looking for it. Another year passed, and another. Still nothing. The general public lost all interest in the contest. People began to assume it was all just an outlandish hoax and perpetrated by a rich nut job. Others believed that even if the egg really did exist, no one was ever going to find it. Meanwhile, the oasis continued to evolve and grow in popularity, protected from takeover attempts and legal challenges by the ironclad terms of Halliday's will and the army of rabid lawyers who had it tasked with administrating his estate. Halliday's Easter egg gradually moved into the realm of urban legend, and the ever-dwindling tribe of gunters gradually became the object of ridicule. Each year, on the anniversary of Halliday's death, newscasters jokingly reported on their continued lack of process. And each year, more gunters called it quits, concluding that Halliday had indeed made the egg impossible to find. And another year went by, and another. Then on the evening of February 11th, 2045, an avatar's name appeared at the top of the scoreboard for the whole world to see. After 5 long years, the copper key had finally been found by an 18-year-old kid living in trailer park on the outskirts of Oklahoma City. That kid was me. Dozens of books, cartoons, movies, and miniseries have attempted to tell the story of everything that happened next, but every single one of them got it wrong, so I want to set the record straight once and for all. Level 1. Being human totally sucks most of the time. Video games are the only thing that make life bearable. I was jolted awake by the sound of gunfire in one of the neighboring stacks. The shots were followed by a few moments of muffled shouting and screaming, then silence. Gunfire wasn't uncommon in the stacks, but it still shook me up. I knew I probably wouldn't be able to fall back asleep, so I decided to kill the remaining hours until dawn by brushing up on a few coin-op classics. Galaga, Defender, Asteroids. These games were outdated digital dinosaurs that had become museum pieces long before I was born. But I was a gunter, so I didn't think of them as a quaint, low-res antiques. To me, they were hollowed artifacts, pillars of the pantheon. When I played the classics, I did so with a determined sort of reverence. I was curled up in an old sleeping bag in the corner of the trailer's tiny laundry room, wedged into the gap between the wall and the dryer. I wasn't welcome in my aunt's room across the hall, which was fine by me. I preferred to crash in the laundry room anyway. It was warm, it afforded me a limited amount of privacy, and the wireless reception wasn't too bad. And as an added bonus, the room smelled like liquid detergent and fabric softener. The rest of the trailer reeked of cat piss and abject poverty. Most of the time, I slept in my hideout, but the temperature had dropped below zero the past few nights, and as much as I hated staying at my aunt's place, it still beat freezing to death. A total of 15 people lived in my aunt's trailer. She slept in the smallest of its 3 bedrooms. The Durperts lived in the bedroom adjacent to her, and the Millers occupied the large master bedroom at the end of the hall. There were 6 of them, and they paid the larger share of the rent. Our trailer wasn't as crowded as some of the other units in the stacks. It was a double wide, plenty of room for everybody. I pulled out my laptop and powered it on. It was a bulky, heavy beast, almost 10 years old. I'd found it in a trash bin behind the abandoned strip mall across the hallway. I'd been able to coax it back to life by replacing its system memory and reloading the Stone Age operating system. The processor was slower than a sloth by current standards, but it was fine for my needs. The laptop served as my portable research library, video arcade, and home theater system. Its hard drive was filled with old books, movies, TV show episodes, song files, and nearly every video game made in the 20th century. I booted up my emulator and selected Robotron 2084, one of my all-time favorite games. I'd always loved its frenetic page and brutal simplicity. Robotron was all about instinct and reflexes. Playing old video games never failed to clear my mind and set me at ease. If I was feeling depressed or frustrated about my lot in life, all I had to do was tap the player 1 button and my worries would instantly slip away as my mind focused itself on the relentless, pixelated onslaught on the screen in front of me. There, inside the game's two-dimensional universe, life was simple. It's just you against the machine. Move with your left hand, shoot with your right, and try to stay alive as long as possible. I spent a few hours blasting through wave after wave of Brian's Superoids, Quarks, and Hulks in my unending battle to save the last human family. But eventually my fingers started to cramp up and I began to lose my rhythm. When that happened at this level, things deteriorated quickly. I burned through all of my extra lives in a matter of minutes, and my two least favorite words appeared on the screen. Game over. I shut down the emulator and began to browse through my video files over the past 5 years. I downloaded every single movie, TV show, and cartoon mentioned in Anorak's Almanac. I still hadn't watched all of them yet, of course. That would probably take decades. I selected an episode of Family Ties, an 80s sitcom about a middle-class family living in Central Ohio. I downloaded the show because it had been one of Halliday's favorites, and I figured there was a chance that some clue related to the hunt might be hidden in one of the episodes. I'd become addicted to the show immediately and had now watched all 180 episodes multiple times. I never seemed to get tired of them. Sitting alone in the dark watching the show on my laptop, I always found myself imagining that I lived in that warm, well-lit house and that those smiling, understanding people were my family. That there was nothing so wrong in the world that we couldn't sort it out by the end of a single half-hour episode, or maybe a two-parter if it was something really serious. That's it for this part. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.